Hello guys, how are you doing? Somebody texted me on WhatsApp and asked me, what is it that you're drinking? Are you actually drinking a brew or are you drinking alcohol? Well, I would put alcohol there, but at the same time I wouldn't. What I'm actually drinking is a mixture of Empowerment coffee and a bit of Milo or Milo, depending on where you're from. Now, and I really love it, like it's amazing. X-Power coffee, yeah, it does something else to your manhood, if you know what I'm saying. And they've also got one called X-Power capsules. So you know where I'm going with that story. But anyway, that's not why I'm doing this video. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I had what people would call an awkward situation with somebody. There's a guy who watched a video that I did with Jagero, I think about 11 months ago. And he did not like a few things that I said, especially when I delved into how I teach a woman how to own her vagina conditioning in terms of her being able to own her ability to orgasm. He didn't quite like that. And he made it very clear, which is fine, you know, you're allowed to express yourself. And he actually texted me on WhatsApp, which was more interesting. So he took the time to get my number and then, you know, confront me with this. Now, for most guys, they would have just ignored it. So I decided to have a conversation with him because I was very curious. I mean, I already know that you're not very happy with me, but I want to know a bit more about you. So I asked him, you know, give me a reason. So he said, well, you know, if it was my wife, I would not allow her to come for a class with you because I don't believe in what you teach and I don't believe that my property belongs in your hands. Yes, he said my property. Those are not my words, his words. He's entitled to say that. That's his wife, not my wife. Which caused me to think, no wonder I'm not really into monogamy in the whole concept of marriage, which sometimes can be a massive scam. I've asked too many people who are in that traditional setting, and they say it is. And we're continuing having a conversation on chat, and he told me that it is a woman's place to satisfy us, not the other way around. Ooh, damn. Alarm bells everywhere. I was like, rest in peace, vaginas. So instead of being confrontational, I decided let's just have a proper dialogue. So I just told the guy, you know what, despite you not agreeing with me, which you shouldn't, I just need those who want to subscribe to subscribe. That's why we have options in life and choices that we make. The most incredible thing is the fact that he was very adamant that she is his property, to the point where I had to ask him, has your wife ever been to my session? Do you think your wife even knows me? And he said, no. And I was like, well, why are you then bitching about a probability that may not happen? The chances of me meeting your wife are slim. But I have been in scenarios where a guy said, I don't think my wife knows you, and she proved him wrong. And I got to win some money because we actually made a bet, and his other male friend was there. And the bet was, it was after having a session, and with a very cool guy, by the way. If he's watching this, cool guy. Obviously, I can't mention your name, but hey, you're cool. We had a conversation about, is it possible that your wife knows me? And he said, no, my wife would never know somebody like you and stuff like that. And his male friend had come to join us. We were having a drink, and we just, you know, committed a wager. The wager was, if he calls his wife and she confirms she knows me, then he gets to, you know, send me 5K. And if I lose, I send him 5K. Guess what? He called her up and he was like, hey babe, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm here with, you know, his friend's name. And then he said, oh, I'm here with a guy called Maveka. And she's like, Maveka, which Maveka is that? You wouldn't know him. And she's like, is it Maurice Maveka? She was on speakerphone. Wow, like 5K, here we go. So we've been in those scenarios. But back to the other story. So he went on with, that's his woman, that's his property, it is women that are supposed to, basically satisfy us, not the other way around. And I was like, okay, so what you're trying to say is you would never subscribe to anything I teach. This is where it got interesting. He said, no, I didn't say that. I just have a problem with my wife coming to you, but I don't have a problem with you teaching me if we were to use another woman. For instance, your models, because you happen to mention that you use a model in Jaguaro's video. I was like, aha, interesting. So you're not really against what I do. Otherwise, number one, you wouldn't have put all this energy into us having this particular dialogue. What you're fearing is that for some reason, if your wife comes to me, I will give her an ability that you may not be able to sustain. Despite the fact that you say she's your property, which, even though she's not mine, she's not your property, to be realistic. If you look at the Kenyan dynamic, who knows who owns what? So our banter continued, and at some point we got to the consensus that, you know what, he does actually agree with the things that I say in terms of he's had his own male struggles when it comes to the bedroom matters. He's been in a scenario where he thought, you know what, is she just saying she's satisfied for me, or is she really satisfied? Which for men, it means something, even for the ones that pretend it doesn't. Now, there is a guy who doesn't care about your female orgasm. We're not talking about that guy. We're talking about the guy who may still have the traditional sense of she is my property, but he would like to some degree have his ego, massaged, because he got you to a place where you are able to say, you do satisfy me to a certain degree. And this dialogue went so well that now we're actually having a session in a few weeks to come. I'm talking about this because I've realized that context is everything. We had to have a proper conversation, mano to mano, for him to actually also tell me what his limitations are, what his struggles as a man are. My job is not to judge him. My job is not to laugh at him. My job is not to cringe. My job is to make sure that I'm able to give him a session that ups his game, gets him to whatever level, and it changes the dynamic of thought, especially in the bedroom for them as a couple. So we're going to be able to do that because it came from I don't like your shit to now we're having a session because we actually sat down, and instead of having that bolstering ring mentality as if we're about to have a fight, we actually just shared information that men share rarely, but we did in this instant, and we got to a point where we're now going to have a session, and I am looking forward to it because it's always good to also empower the guy who wants that extra push in the right direction to understand that anatomy that's not so complicated unless you have a very egotistic way of thinking about your sexuality. So that's what I wanted to share as I enjoy my X-Power Milo combination. He's actually not a bad chap. We actually had a really good chat at the end of the day. I mean, I know the beginning was a bit aggressive. The beginning was very, I don't know. It could have gone either way, but I wanted to steer it in a direction where we don't need to be enemies. I always find it strange that people work so hard to be defiant, to fight, rather than you being the one who reasons that this person may just be using this as a way of saying help. I mean, look at it this way. Why would a guy watch a video, ponder over it, hate, kind of sieve through what I've said, and then look at something that he dislikes, then apply it to his own relationship, which means he's applied it to his wife, magnify that struggle, and then have a reason to hate me? But I'm the kind of guy who knows how to convert that into the energy where he benefits. Because that's what humans are supposed to do for other humans. It's not complex. It's not nuclear science. It's just how things should be. But when you become confrontational and then it's, a butting of heads as if you're antelopes, you get nowhere at all. So I just steered in the direction where, one, I got to know another guy. I know what his problems are. Have I solved them for other men before? Yes, I have. Am I good at solving that problem? Yes, I am. Is he going to gain out of this? Yes, he is. Could we have a couple session after his session? Depends on how his session goes. But I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it because I don't like failure in my sessions. I'm all about success. I love it when somebody can give me feedback that stuff for them happened. And that's why once in a while, when it comes to my website, MAURICE Therapy, where I've posted all my packages, sometimes I like scrolling down and just seeing all the reviews, because those reviews motivate me to help one more person, whether that person is female or male. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying having that session with him. I did, for those who are wondering, because I know there's some overthinkers who watch everything. I did have a conversation with him and I told him, you know what, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to describe our first contact. I'm going to describe everything and I'm not going to bullshit about it. I'm not going to censor it. I'm just going to tell it as it is. I'm going to frame it as when you first came to me, you wanted to bash my head in, but now we're heading in the direction where I can help you and you can probably talk to other men so that we can all have this information so that our homes can be happier, especially for those who subscribe to marriage and monogamy, which I'm not against. I'm just against subscribing to it myself. I need people to understand that. I always hear this thing about, oh, Maurice is against lovey-dovey, oh, Maurice is against marriage, oh, Maurice. What I'm against is bullshit. I think even if you refer to the Jagera video, at some point I did say that marriage is actually not the problem. It's the psychologies in the marriage that end up being the problem. Because you're subscribing to something, one, you don't really believe in. Two, you're going to find very hard to sustain, especially if your foundation was not based on this is a conscious thing that I'm going to have to do and I'm going to have to persevere, which is not really a word that I like using a lot because I don't believe in sacrificing who you are because it starts to limit so many things and it also leads to some form of resentment. So anyway, back to the more positive energy. I am having a session with this guy and I think we're going to be great friends. It's always good to see when men meet and they are loggerheads. We have a way somehow of steering it where we can now work together, improve our life together. And he doesn't know this, but there are other things that I'm doing other than this that he may be able to help me with. Who knows? And that's why I always feel don't burn bridges. In whatever you do in life, don't burn bridges. Don't define your life by hating. Hating is strong. And unless you don't know this, when you hate another human being, the only person who has that burden of those feelings is you, not the person you hate. They're not even aware of that energy, but you feel it every day because every time you see them or you think of them or you see a scenario that reminds you of them, you get all this negative energy. It's not worth it. Live life knowing you're not going to agree with everyone. Have debates. I find it strange nowadays people don't have debates. Because the debate is where we can actually say, I've enjoyed your view, you've enjoyed mine, let's agree to disagree. Because it's not about converting people. I've always said that. If you followed me long enough, my job is not to convert. That's too hard. I just like helping those who subscribe in what I'm good at. As simple as that. So, if you're a guy and you're out there and you would just like to have, first and foremost, a conversation about where you're at, your relationship, sexuality, things you're struggling with, reach out to me. let's see where we can go, where we can take it. Let's see what advice I can give you. Well, let me see what recommendations I can give you. Unless you ask, you will never know. That's one thing I live by. So, as I enjoy my drink, I will leave you with that. Have a good one. Take care of each other. I'll see you soon. Bye.